Okay, so here we are at the beginning of this course in data science, and I'd like to just give a roadmap, sort of where we're trying to get to here, or where ultimately you could get to, would be to the point of taking data that you've come to understand through analysis, taking data that you understand and applying to that data deep learning models, machine learning algorithms in order to do operable, actionable, useful things with it, like maybe do some predictions or classification, right? Getting into that far end of things. However, in order to get there, obviously there are some steps. Now, a middle step would be data analysis itself, where you can manipulate data and ask the questions that would help you to understand it, and then answer the questions, reformat the data, and explore the data in a way that you can answer certain questions with it. That's the middle step. And a first step, though, of the three would be just getting used to the tools and methods of doing data analysis. And that's where we're starting with in this course, right? The beginning of that first step. And if you look at this course description up here, I've got three goals we want to accomplish. Number one is just getting comfortable with the Jupyter Notebook, which is the preferred environment for data analysis in Python. Second would just be looking at the Python language basics of the language, and then moving on to some higher level language elements like data structures, lists and dictionaries and sets, and then functions. Functions are the actually most important structural format for any language, actually, where you're grouping your language statements into purpose-directed, reusable blocks. And then finally, file access, which is sort of a last step in this course. So with that sort of an overview, let me just make a point about programming generally. We're not trying to teach the programming language, because that's not, nobody really completely learns a language. I think very few people do. What we do is we get a 30,000 foot overview of what the language can do, look at some of the tools to accomplish what we want to do, and then we forget all that. We forget all the details of that, keeping the generalities in mind. And when we want to use a certain language tool, a certain programming language tool, we will remember kind of what that tool was, do a quick Google search to remind ourselves, get into Stack Overflow or W3 Schools, or even sometimes YouTube videos that we like, that they'll remind us. And of course, now as you get more experience with the language, your searches are faster, and you might do less research, but that paradigm kind of never stops. And the reason I'm pointing this out is because even for people who've never done any programming, and even in any other language other than Python too, but that shouldn't put you off. All you're doing is getting an overview so that you can do research to remind yourself of the steps you'd want to take to accomplish any programmatic task. All right, so that should comfort you. Finally, before we close this introductory video, I want to just give some attribution to Wes McKinney. Actually, Wes is the original author of the Pandas library, and this book by O'Reilly was written by Wes. It's a Python for data analysis. Now, what I did was to sort of loosely follow the lesson trajectory of the first couple chapters there, and his approach to the subject of data analysis. And I very loosely followed it, like I said, really truncating it, and I modified a lot of the examples, simplified them, and but I would recommend that if you have the wherewithal, the energy, go ahead and grab that book, because it's a great book. And I do want to give attribution where credit is due. So thank you to Wes for that, and probably continue to follow that book throughout the entire course. And all right, so that should wrap up this video. Next time, we're just going to set up our environment, our work environment, which is going to include the Jupyter Notebook. We're going to figure out how to